Peace and prosperity be unto all who's listening and watching. It's your girl, Cashapp LaShaWright, and I'm back with another video. And today we're going to talk about perspective and how sometimes perspective can be limited to the level of maturity that you have, because you can only perceive things based on the level of growth you are at. And the expansion in your mind and consciousness has a lot to do with that. So if you're maturing constantly with everything, every trial in life, not specifically towards age, because age doesn't determine maturity, nor does it to determine growth. It just determines how long you've lived life. I've lived for 26 years, but that doesn't justify that I'm mature, responsible, obligated, or any of those things. Like, it doesn't qualify me. It doesn't help me. It doesn't mature me. It's just a number of years that I've lived. Perspective is the level of consciousness that expands with the level of growth of all the experiences and trials that you endure and encounter over a time period within the amount of years that you've lived, basically. So if you learn all the lessons that everything that you've experienced, endured, every hardship, every pain, and every mistake or habit you've had so far, and you acknowledge and take accountability for those things, your level of consciousness is pretty evolved with the level of maturity and trials that you've experienced. Your level of growth is not just obtained by experience. Yes, experience is the greatest teacher of all times. I promise you that is the truth. But there's also lessons in life that you must learn without having to actually experience them. Though experience and observance is the greatest two teachers of all time, there's also another way of understanding. Once you understand what you're going through, be able to evaluate those days, take on the lessons that you learn. This is why I always in my videos say that you need to know the lessons that these different things that you're going through is teaching you, because it has a lot to do with whether your mind is going to expand. Sometimes the place you are at in life doesn't align with the level of maturity or perspective that you have. You can be highly mature, highly advanced, and still struggle in life. That doesn't change circumstances. That doesn't mean you go through less hardship. It just means that you just have a different perspective of perceiving it based on the level of consciousness that you're at, because of the way that you observe, the way that you learn, and the way you take on lessons of life, and the way you appreciate those lessons, right? If you have the ability to reflect and take on what you reflect, use those reflecting lessons and apply them to your daily life, then your consciousness can expand. Not only does the perception in which you see is based on you and your existence and your experience and your surroundings and the way you were raised and everything that you go through, right? It's also limited to the people you have around you, and your ability and your willfulness to want to see things from a different light, from other people's perspectives. Being able to put yourself in other people's shoes and really understanding the deeper picture from what they experience too. It's seeing both sides of the coin without lacking the understanding of information that comes with it. Intellect only stops when you stop maturing. Knowledge, like yesterday, you can have an infinite amount of knowledge. A lot of people say knowledge is power, but knowledge is only power when you use that power to apply in your daily life. Truthfulest thing ever. Because people have the knowledge to know things, people have the answers to their problems, people have the solutions. Some people don't apply them. Some people don't have everything they need to fully obtain the answer, even if they know the answer. So everything has its process, everything has its obstacles, but if you have a mind to understand and know that these are things are required, then you get why you have to go through such a progress of waiting, delaying, and investing time. There's one thing in life that you can never get back, it's your time. Gary Vee, he stresses it out. He stresses this message to young entrepreneurs like myself and other people. He stresses the fact that your 20s, you having your whole life ahead of you. You have 100 days or 100 years or whatever, infinite. If you're alive today, you should be grateful, right? Your 20s is not to have everything figured out. Your 30s is not when you have everything done and complete. Your 50s is not to say everything is said and done too. He's putting in perspective that this motto that we live by, having things figured out and just having our lives together by 25 or 30 is absurd. And whoever came up with this limitation of life pretty much limited the experience of perspective of how we should live, what we should know, and where we should be in life. Because he also stresses out that everyone's like rushing towards jobs that they don't want and buying cars that they want, but they're having to get jobs that they don't really like, rushing towards certain jobs, rushing to get jobs, and 5 months later you hate the job. So you're not going to have it all figured out, and you're not going to love everything about every single aspect of your life, but the appreciation to where you are now really makes some really set, wise decisions for your life. Comes with perspective, and it comes with wanting to make the best choices for your life and deciding what those are for that particular moment. Not saying that because you made that best decision for now, that's the ultimate decision forever. It's just saying making decisions are a long-term investment, that they have a long-term effect on your life. When you choose things for the short-term gain or the short-term benefit or the short-term effects, it harms you more than it helps you. You want to do things that are long-term consistent, long-term that are beneficial, that are effective, efficient, and they're going to help you along your journey, and it's going to really bring out a better future for you. So this is why I say perspective is at the level of maturity that you're at, and maturity comes with responsibility, and it comes with growth, because in order for one to be mature, one must have to truly grow in consciousness, grow in spirituality, grow in financially, grow on your external side as well as your internal side. So you have to grow on all levels. You got to improve your love languages. You have to improve your way of expression, your way of communication, the weight of your thinking. It's different levels of consciousness. You have the conscious, you have the subconscious, you have the mass consciousness. You have so many levels to yourself. Fully understanding your brain, your wave patterns, your habits, all these great things about self. There's so many things about life that if you spend too much dwelling over the problems, you will miss out on the most amazing things about life. But perspective is required with maturity, because intellect is limited when you have no growth. Where there's no growth, there's no maturity, and there's no expanded levels of perspective, because you cannot perceive beyond your level of growth. You can only perceive what you've grown to, what you see. You can look at something and you be like, I totally understand. And you completely not understand what you're looking at. You can completely not understand what you're saying you understand. You completely can say it. You can verbalize it. You can say, I understand and I get it and this and that, and really not get it at all. So it really depends on you. How willing are you to grow beyond this point now, consciously, responsibly, taking on accountability of your mistakes and things like that will really increase the level of perspective, consciousness, growth, and maturity that you have. Now, you can't always determine who matures and who grows based on the age and the amount of years people live. There's people who live for 50 years and still act like a child. Okay? So you can't place age. Age is truly a number, amount of years that people live, amount of years. A number is just a number at the end of the day. If there's no validation for all the years that you live based on the expanded perspective or the expanded consciousness, the expanded growth or maturity, or the decisions, the calculated decisions that you made over time, and the reflectiveness that comes with those made decisions, if there's no growth in those accumulated years, based on all those decisions you made, then, and there's no reflect of the things you made and the change of choices that you may do, or the habits and the change of addictions, it does come to a deep point when perspective only comes when people mature, and that only comes with the intent to grow, and intellect can grow only when one matures. So this is a message of perspective, where only perspective grows at the level of maturity that you're at. And you can only expand your intellect on the level of consciousness that you grow. Love you guys.